Welcome back. Welcome in. This is Country Roads Confidential at earsports.com. I am Mike Casaza, welcoming in Chris Anderson. We are going to go game by game through the 2022 football season here at West Virginia, talk about the predictions we have for the season. Our baseline is the number 5. The over-under set by Caesar Sportsbook for the Mountaineers is 5 wins. We will get to our final number here. I think you might be pleasantly surprised, but possibly also disappointed. However, we're going to begin with a difference that we have, one of two in our prognostications. West Virginia opens up on the road against Pitt. Backyard brawl September 1st. They haven't met since 2011. Kind of a crime. West Virginia will try to steal one in Heinz Field, not the most intimidating environment for a visitor. However, the Panthers do have a lot going for them. I know they don't have Kenny Pickett. They do not have Jordan Addison. They did bring in a good quarterback, Keaton Slovis from USC. Some transfer talent at wide receiver. They have their entire offensive line back. They're going to be good on defense because of their pedigree on the coaching staff there. Chris disagrees. He likes the Mountaineers to win. However, I just have the scales tilting a little bit in the favor of Pitt in this one here, about a touchdown favorite. I'm not offended by that. I see West Virginia starting 0-1. Chris says 1-0. We both have back-to-back wins for West Virginia. Second week of the season, Kansas, a Big 12 game in week 2. Chris and I agree. A win for West Virginia. You'd rather play this one later in the year than the start of the year because they just played at the end of the regular season. A lot of continuity in preparation, but there's so many changes for West Virginia's offense and the Kansas roster at large that maybe that continuity isn't worth as much. Maybe Kansas isn't as familiar and threatening. You like West Virginia win that one at home. Towson, chalk. Chris, hand it off to you. West Virginia goes to Virginia Tech, and we differ again here. Explain.
Yeah, this is where we differ. We both picked the split between the two rivalry games. You think West Virginia will lose at Pitt. I think West Virginia might lose at Virginia Tech. While the two teams, if you put them on a neutral field, Pitt, Virginia Tech, I might actually lean towards the Panthers as a better team. But I do believe that environment at Heinz Field is going to be, I don't want to say favorable to West Virginia, but not quite as intimidating as it might be in Blacksburg in week 4 when the Mountaineers head down there to Lane Stadium. So for me, at that point, I think West Virginia loses to Virginia Tech, but still sitting at a solid 3-1 start to the season before they head to Austin, Texas to take on the Longhorns. Who are they back, Mike?
When were they
Texas
gone?
Back.
When were they gone? They've been back since, oh boy. Listen, they're back in that they reloaded on offense. They obviously had a very highly regarded offensive coach who didn't have a great year last year. They're presumed to be very good against this year. I'm not exactly sure why based on last season, except the reputation of people involved who were here should be better, who were not here and are supposed to be better with Texas than they were other places, namely Quinn Ewers, their star quarterback transfer. They did add some star players at other positions on offense. I like a lot of points in this game. I could see both offenses going up and down the field. Not quite like the Will Grier, Gary Jennings, David Sills level, but I could see something zany there. I just like Texas at home in that one in their final probable Big 12 meeting, and maybe the last time these two teams even play.
Yep, and then they get a bye week before welcoming Baylor to Morgantown on October 13th. Both teams getting a bye before that one, so this isn't some sneaky rest game for West Virginia. Bears, solid team up and down. You and I both like their roster. You and I both like everything they put together. We like what Dave Aranda has done there in Waco, and I think they're solid. It's going to be tough for this West Virginia team with all of their new players, even though we're getting into the midway point of the season, to beat Baylor, because they might be one of the favorites to win the entire Big 12 conference. So I think West Virginia plays them tight, but I think they end up 3-3 after this game. And that leads us to the first must-win game of the season at Texas Tech the following week. But you and I agree, I think, on what happens after that.
Yeah, guns up on this one if you're Neil Brown. You got to win it because you haven't beat them yet. But I also think that the reputation here is a bit misleading. They haven't won a game against the Red Raiders. They haven't been embarrassed or blown out. They've had bad moments, and that's cost them games. But those bad moments have been at different parts, the beginning, the middle, the end. And if you look at last season's game, it's weird. West Virginia wasn't a very good team at that point last season. It turned out. They got better, and they would have made things easier had they won that game. They very easily could have, would have, should have won that game. And then we're not even having this conversation. The trip to Lubbock doesn't seem too daunting. I think Texas Tech is going to be good. I think they have a good coach and a good staff and a good idea what they're doing. I just like West Virginia to be further along at that point of the season. I don't think it's a big deal that they haven't won yet because I think they've been close. It's not like an Oklahoma brick wall. Texas Tech, they've been close. I see West Virginia finally breaking through on that one, getting over 500 and setting up a pretty significant stretch here, Chris.
Yeah, you and I both agree. I think this is the beginning of a 3-game winning streak. winning at Texas Tech, taking care of business against TCU at home, something that West Virginia has done against the Horned Frogs, a lot of success against them in Morgantown. And then traveling to Iowa State. Yes, Ames is tough, but this is not the same Cyclones team from the last couple of years. So West Virginia 6-3 before welcoming Oklahoma to Morgantown, which again, that's a team that it's at home, so that's nice. But the Sooners are going to be good, really good, Big 12 favorites most likely, and I think that's where that winning streak comes to an end for the Mountaineers.
My lead pipe block of the season, Chris, that will be a night game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
West Virginia's not going to win it, I don't believe, but I think that the Big 12 owes them one based on what happened in the COVID year, and I think they're going to try to make things hard on the Sooners on the way out the door.
And then you get down to the final two games of the year. Kansas State at home at Oklahoma State to end the season. For me, this is a split. I do not believe the Wildcats are a very good team. The Cowboys, they frustrate me each and every year. I think they have all the talent in the world. Playing in Stillwater stuff, especially on senior day, they might still have something to play for. And the Mountaineers end, in my book, at 7-5. Mike, what does your book say?
Same, 7-5. I think they split these two games. I would not be surprised if I'm wrong here and that Kansas State wins and West Virginia beats Oklahoma State. I expect the opposite, so that they beat Kansas State and lose to Oklahoma State. I'll write about this separately. West Virginia's schedule sets up favorably throughout the season when it comes to extra rest and some breaks, but also a stretch of opponents at the end of the regular season who take some body blows before they play West Virginia. Included in that, Oklahoma State plays Bedlam the week before West Virginia. The emotion, the physicality of what that game, could it leave the Cowboys vulnerable? My heart, my head say no right now. Things could change by that part of the season. Maybe that's 2-0 and it turns an 8-4 record into a 7-5 outcome that we predicted. However, you and I both think 7-5 is how this ends.
Yep, 7-5. It might not keep fans happy, especially 7-5 and losing two of the last three. But if you're looking at that sports book with that line of over under 5 wins, seems like you should be hammering the over on that one.
You heard it here first. Until then, I'm Mike Casaza.
And I'm Chris Anderson.
We'll talk to you later.